So I've had the Axon Phase Controller installed on my stock SurRon Ultra Bee for the last week now. The last video I made on this controller was all about an introduction to Axon and running through some of the stats and the figures that this controller has to offer. But in this video we're going to dive a little bit deeper in some of these amazing features that this controller has. So the first feature we're going to look at is the Stunt mode, or the Wheelie mode. And what this feature should do is be able to keep the bike at balance point with a consistent throttle without me looping the bike. And one of the other features we're going to look at is the Rollback mode. Now I feel this is going to be really helpful, especially riding roads, especially where I ride. It's very hilly, so it's essentially going to act like a hill start, but on my SurRon. And one of the biggest requested things from you guys is the top speed. So we're also going to be running that as well. So let's not mess around. Let's jump on the bike. Let's have a look at these features, and then let's do a top speed run to see what we can actually get out of the Axon Phase controller. Let's jump into it. Okay, so to start with, we are going to go and find a private road so we can practice some of these wheelies and see how good this gyro actually works on the bike. We'll then head out to a couple of hills just to see how good that rollback mode is, and then we're going to finish off with the top speed run. Now I just want to point out quickly the riding conditions. Currently at the moment I am in the UK and the temperature is about 3 degrees. It is absolutely freezing, hence why I literally look like the Michelin Man. The other thing I just need to point out as well is I am riding a stock 2024 SurRon Ultra Bee. Just to give you a little bit of context, if you are looking to buy the Phase controller, what you can sort of expect to the equivalent type of bike. So first of all, we are going to jump into the Stunt mode. So all I'm going to do now quickly is just open up the app, and I am going to jump into the angle mode. What I'm going to do is, I have absolutely no idea kind of what sort of angle I should be looking at. I'm going to set it to 35 degrees, and then what I do is just incrementally increase it just to see where the balance point is. Now, I haven't had this bike for very long. I certainly haven't wheelied it pretty much ever, to be honest with you. So this will be a completely new bike to wheelie, and obviously a completely new controller to obviously try this out on. So I'm going to set it to 35 degrees. I'm going to jump in there and save that. And then to engage the Stunt mode itself, we just hold down the ASR button for about 7 seconds. And then hopefully up on the display, it should show us the actual angle that we've set on the controller. And there we are, it's just popped up. So I can see now that is set to 35 degrees. So that's exactly what we wanted. We now know that feature is all live on the bike. I'm going to jump into mode 2 for this, I think. Obviously, we're going to still need enough power and pop to get the bike up into that wheelie position. A little bit icy on the floor, so slightly nervous, but the gyro is going to keep me safe. Oh yeah, it's very, very icy on the floor actually. This might not be the best idea, but let's give it a shot. Yes, okay, see, it works. So basically I engage the throttle enough to get the bike up. I do, and this is a trait of mine, I do let off the throttle ever so slightly just because it's natural. You know, when you're wheeling, you're never just going to keep it pinned full throttle. So I let off ever so slightly, and then just very slowly then just start to gain the power, and that seems to hold the bike up, to be fair. So let's give that another go. Yeah. Yes. So that was fully holding the bike. What I'm finding is probably 35 degrees isn't probably quite enough to keep it at a balance point. So as the bike's slowly coming down, we're losing power and dropping the wheel. But, whoa, give that another shot. Yes, that is unbelievable. I cannot believe that feature works. That is insane. So it basically just keeps your power to that exact angle and just keeps you in a wheelie. What I might do now quickly is just go back into the app. I might just change that up a little bit more. It just doesn't seem to be quite at balance point there. Just jumping back into the app, go onto angles. Let's put this up to, let's go 10 degrees. We'll go to 45 degrees and see, jump onto a save. You can now see that on the display, that is showing that we're at a 45 degree angle. And yeah, let's give this a go. Obviously it's going to be a little bit more sort of towards that balance point. So wheels up. No way. No way does that work. That is unreal. It can probably do with ever so slightly more angle, but whilst we're getting used to it and I can build confidence. Oh, I can't get any traction, it's so icy on the floor. The back wheel is just literally spinning up. A little bit too icy here. What I might do is just change location. I'll try and find there's another private road about a mile away. So I might head over there. Hopefully that's just had a little bit more sun and there's not so much ice on the floor. So we'll head over there and give it another try. Okay, so we've just made it over to our next location. A little bit more sun here, so the road has thawed out a little bit better, so it should be nice and dry. So let's go. We're at 45 degrees now. Let's see if this is any closer to the balance point. Oh, I let the throttle off. I let the throttle off, but it was completely holding us there. That is almost at balance point, I would say. Give it another go. Yeah! So what I'm finding is it's getting me to that sort of 45 degrees. The power is then just slowly starting to drop, which is then dropping the front wheel. So it probably means we could maybe go 1 or 2 degrees more just to keep it a little bit higher. I might just try and sit back a little bit more as well, see if that helps. But oh, I let go. It's putting your faith into that it's not going to throw you backwards, but it massively held me there. So try again. Yeah. That is unbelievable. I cannot believe that works. What I might just quickly do is we'll jump in and we'll just set this up, I don't know, maybe another degrees. Let's jump back onto the angle. Let's change that. I'll push it to 47 degrees, see what happens. Save that. That's all good. That is now showing on the display as 47 degrees, so we know that is working. Like I said in the previous video, you know, the Light Bee, I can dance around on the back wheel all day long, but I feel for people that maybe aren't so confident in finding that balance point, or you're just trying to get used to getting that front wheel up and practicing your wheelies, and this is an absolute game changer when it comes to that. And you know, once we even find that sweet spot at the balance point where the power to sort of balance point ratio is correct, then I'm sure you could throw combos on this thing and, you know, get really, really technical with it. But it is such a crazy advanced piece of technology. And like I said in the previous video, there's so much choice now in terms of what controller to buy and what's going to be best suited for you. But value for money, I just don't think you can beat this controller. You know, the increase in power that you're going to get, and we'll show that later on in the video in terms of a top speed run, but also everything else you get with this controller, the new display, the regen thumb throttle. Okay, so 47 degrees, it sounds a lot, but let's give that a go and see what happens. Yes, boys, I think we're nearly there. Holding lovely there. Oh, that's me letting off the throttle a bit, but yeah. It's still just, it's so nerve-wracking putting all your faith into that, but yeah, it held it absolutely spot on. And you can hear that power, you can hear it just drop you down once you sort of find in that point, just to keep you at that angle.
So what you've just seen there is my front brake cable actually knocking the microphone receiver clean out of my camera, sending it flying onto the ground. Unfortunately, I didn't realise this until about 30 minutes later, and by that point I'd already moved on to a different location. And to make it even more annoying, that receiver was only less than 2 days old. But I carried on chatting away, completely unaware. But as you can see from the footage though, with a little bit of practice and building more and more confidence in that controller, the wheelies started getting better and better. It's really just a case of fine-tuning the balance point in the app, finessing the throttle until the bike held itself at my desired angle, and then just basically putting all of my trust in the technology not to flip me over. And once I was happy with the progress, I moved on and tried out the heel hold mode. Okay, we're at the top of the hill. I'll take my hands off the brakes, lift my feet up, and you'll see
you know, I'm rolling down the hill. So we just push on the ASR button now. This now puts me into a complete hold. I can't push it, but it's literally like I've got the brakes on. There's no hands, my feet are up. Again, such an awesome feature. And I think if you're riding road or you're riding off-road, I think this would just be like a really important feature, especially, you know what it's like when you get to a hill climb. You know, sometimes you have to get off the bike to get yourself into a position, or, you know, up a hill, things like that. It's holding the brakes, it's fumbling around with the throttle. I can literally put this on any hill. I'm not going anywhere. I just think that is another amazing feature, and I think that'll actually really come handy, especially road riding. It is literally a hill start like you would get in a car, but for your SurRon. It is unbelievable. Really, really impressed with that. And as soon as I just press it off, just to show you, I'll start rolling back. So yeah, another really, really cool little feature. I think what we'll do, we'll head out onto a much bigger road and we'll get a top speed run. Now, I have got a different sprocket on the bike. I have got different size wheels on the bike. I've got much chunkier tyres and stuff like that. So I'm pretty confident in saying that the speedo that's showing up on the display at the moment is not correct, because I haven't gone into actually set up my wheel setup and my sprocket size and stuff like that. What I'm actually doing, so that we do get a true reading, is we're running Strava in the background. I found Strava just to be the most accurate and best app for this, so we'll be able to see the distance I've covered today as well. I can run through the battery that I've got left. Obviously you'll be able to see my average speed, top speed and stuff like that as well, so it should give you quite a good indication as to how well this controller performs.
So I ran a total of 4 speed runs along the same stretch of road to see what sort of top speed I could squeeze out of the bike. A couple of things to keep in mind before we get into the numbers is the battery by now was sitting around 65% during all of these runs. Also bear in mind that this is a stock 2024 SurRon Ultra Bee, so the battery is stock and so is the motor. I've also got some aftermarket 17-inch Supermoto wheels fitted, along with a 54-tooth sprocket. And just to make things more interesting, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, the temperature when I recorded this was around 3 degrees Celsius, so it's not exactly ideal conditions for trying to get the top speed out of one of these bikes. But with all that said, the results are in, and I managed to hit a top speed of 68 miles per hour. Now, considering the freezing cold conditions and the half-charged battery and the kind of setup that I'm running, I think that's pretty respectable numbers, to be honest. Now, as well as the top speed, one of the biggest improvement that this controller brings is the torque. The difference compared to the stock controller is absolutely massive. So if you're looking for a controller upgrade that boosts power, gives you things like a wheelie mode and a ton of other awesome features, then definitely check out the Axon Phase Controller. I'll put a link in the description to the website, so make sure you go and check them out. So a big shout out to Axon Racing, and a massive thank you to you guys for watching this video until the end. If you've enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.